Hello and welcome to the Forces Sports Show, your weekly roundup of the best action and biggest stories from across the services, coming up in the next half hour. Kings of Lords, the RAF hit their rivals for 6 to take the Inter-Services T20 crown. Yeah! Lording it in Rostock, the UK Armed Forces footballers secure an impressive win against Germany. And Lords of the Ring, hard-hitting action from the Army individual boxing finals. We start with the biggest day of the year in Forces cricket, as Lords played host to the Inter-Services T20 competition. The Army were put into bat in the opening match of the day by the Royal Navy. Despite a slow start, the Army fired 59 off the last 4 overs to finish on 145 for 4. The Navy were restricted to 103 for 9 in reply. Jay Boynton, the hero, taking the first ever hat-trick in this competition. In the second match, the RAF batted first and posted a confident total. They finished on 149 for 5. The Navy never really got going as they chased their target. Ash Watson, the pick of the bowlers, taking 4 for 20. The Navy all out for 100 inside 16 overs. All that set up a title decider in the final match of the day between the RAF and the Army, as John Knighton reports.
The RAF, buoyed by their decisive victory over the Navy, were happy to bat first on a good wicket in the best conditions of the day. And openers Rob Diver and Tom Shorthouse put on 40 in the first 6 overs before Shorthouse was caught behind by Connor Reid from Denison Narayan's delivery. Diver was bowled for 35 by Narayan, with the RAF then on 67 for 2, and that became 74 for 3. Fisher, the captain, gone for 13. Andy McGeorge then came to the crease, and his innings of 40, supported by Ash Watson, proved absolutely crucial, which included 15 off the penultimate over of the innings. The RAF's total of 147 for 6 looked a good one to defend, but the Army had the talent to claim their 6th successive title, and opener Jordan Ralph made a good start with 8 off the first over, the required run rate. But he fell on 20 LBW bowled by Watson, heading for his second 4-wicket haul of the tournament. And when fellow opener Graham Wiseman was dismissed 4 runs later and Liam Fletcher LBW from the next ball, the Army were in trouble on 24 for 3. After that 3rd wicket, the RAF bowling and fielding dominated. The Army never able to get on top as they fell behind on the run rate. Despite the best efforts of captain Jay Boynton and Tade Carmichael, the bowling of Watson, Shorthouse, Tom Fairclough and Ian Sinclair was outstanding, as was the fielding effort. Surely it was all over. 73 needed from 24 balls, and despite their best efforts, there was to be no Army sensational ending. They finished just over the 100 mark. So a great performance from the RAS cricketers here, winning the Inter-Services T20 Championship and denying the Army yet another title. A superb performance from the team there in light blue. And of course the RAF centenary year. What better way for them to celebrate than to have victory in the Inter-Services T20 here at Lords?
I can't remember the last time we won the tournament. I think it was 2012 when we won it 2 years on the trot, and to win it on the RAF 100 is fantastic, and it's a great achievement for the lads as well, especially to wear the 100 on his shirt.
We just did turn up in the final game. We've been well prepared. We've had a great upcoming towards Lords, and yeah, like you said, the RAF were the better team on the day, but we'll be back next year and we'll get his trophy back, I'm sure.
I think we deserved it on the balance. I thought the lads executed the match plans absolutely perfectly, so I'm really happy with them. They've worked hard, and yeah, superb.
The RAF worthy winners here in a tournament that they came 3rd in last year, which shows that on the day any one of these 3 teams can be successful at the home of cricket.
To boxing, and the Army Individual Championships have taken place in Aldershot. 17 titles were up for grabs, but the focus was also on impressing the coaches to claim a place on the Army's elite boxing team. For many competitors, the Army Open Championships may well be the highlight of their Forces sporting careers. The tournament can also put those with ambition on the pathway to greater success. The Flyweight Development A final was an entertaining affair, as Chorley Nolan from the 1st Fusiliers rocked his opponent, Macaulay Richardson, with a clean shot to the head early in the 1st round. Nolan kept the pressure on, and come round 3, the Fusilier forced his Kingsman opponent into a standing count. Both boxers went for it as the bout entered the final seconds, and it was the man in the blue corner who enjoyed a unanimous victory. In contrast, the light heavyweight development B contest was a far more cagey affair. Carnell Brown from the Royal Signals, wearing blue, used his superior reach to great effect, keeping opponent Adam Miles at arm's length. Brown enjoyed success in last season's tournament. This year, he's been training with the Army Podium squad at their HQ in Aldershot, and he went on to finish the job against a stubborn and determined Miles.
A unanimous decision. Blue is the winner.
For Brown, it was another step forward in his boxing career.
I've been here since January. I found myself improving with the coaches and stuff like that. It's been a great team, nutritionists, strength and conditioning coaches. So I'm taking baby steps and I'm seeing progress. I just want to put my head down, keep focused and push as far as I can go.
Ben Rhys-Davies has been with the Army Elite squad for some time, but this was his first appearance in this tournament. The Cardigan lad is making his way back from injury, but despite the ring rust, he blew away the cobwebs and the valiant Ross Simpson from the Royal Signals. Catterick-based Simpson survived an initial standing count. But as Rhys-Davies set about the man in blue once more, the referee stepped in yet again. This time, however, it was all over, and the Welshman had his maiden Army light welterweight title.
It's good to get a little title under my belt, and yeah, you know, we're best in the Army. You know, it takes a lot to get in that ring and box us elite lads that are on the team. So it takes a lot of guts for these lads that are trying to get on the team, and you know, utmost respect to them boys.
Callum Hill is another athlete benefiting from training at the home of Army Boxing in Aldershot. The man from Two Rifles shaded his welterweight elite title showdown with Matt Wells by a split decision. Reamy's Soldier Wells got through a standing count in round 3. Despite some explosive exchanges, neither boxer could land the knockout blow, and it hinged on the judges. Hill was delighted with his victory and is already mapping out his future in the sport.
Well, this is just the beginning for me, so it's my 29th fight, my 19th win. So now I just want to get better and better every performance. I had 2.5 years out before last year, and now I just want to keep progressing. Hopefully one day box for England, get at least 50 fights under my belt. That's what I want.
It's entirely possible an Army boxer will be a box office hit in the coming years. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex will travel to Sydney for the 2018 Invictus Games in October. Harry and Meghan made their first public appearance as a couple at last year's Games in Toronto. Training continues as the athletes chosen to represent the UK prepare for the trip to Australia. Amy Matthews has been with the cycling team in Nottingham.
Remember, when you're going down that bend, a lot of you are still up on the hoods. I want to see everybody down on those drops. It is going to give you a lot more control on the front.
Being put through their paces are some of the Invictus Games cycling team.
Nobody's an individual at all. Everybody's working together, pulling each other along. And yeah, it's just really humbling to be working with them. When I first started the job, when I first got the job, I was literally walking back after the session. And I'm not normally the most emotional bloke in the world, but I was literally crying walking back to the van. It just means so much to me to be involved in this.
To get to this point was a challenge in itself. A rigorous selection process tested each individual on performance and how the Games could benefit their recovery. For some, it's been a personal journey to get here too.
I was becoming more and more reclusive. I did get to the stage where I actually couldn't leave my house. And then it got to the stage where I struggled to get out of bed. So for me to be here talking to other people and riding a bike I don't really know very much about, it's actually... it's massive. It really is. Sorry, I still get a little bit choked up about it really, because I think if I hadn't have had that, then I know I wouldn't be stood here. I'd probably be at home cuddling my dog.
Last year I went to the trials. I'd reached a point where I was fed up being on the sidelines watching the children play sport, and I thought I want to do something myself. And actually as a father I want to be able to inspire my children, be a role model for them, and show them that actually whatever the challenge that life throws you, then you can get on with it. Through adaptive sport, sport recovery, working with Help for Heroes and various other charities, I've been able to do things that I didn't think I could ever do again. Fantastic.
Intense training will continue over the coming months as the Games in October draw ever closer.
The UK Armed Forces football team is celebrating an impressive victory against their German counterparts. The game ended 2-0 in Rostock. John Knighton travelled with the team.
This UCAF team are already one of the most successful in the history of British military football, with 3 successive Kentish Cups and other international scalps, but this was their biggest test so far. Invited by the German military to play this game to celebrate their National Armed Forces Day in Rostock, the team came to the FC Hansa Stadium, met by 4,500 fans, to play the Bundeswehr. The Germans showed their early intentions, a shot from Florian Stahl, which produced the first of a string of fine saves from Luke Kearney. It was UCAF who opened the scoring. Mark Drysdale, spotting a gap in midfield, went for it and steered a lovely shot into the bottom right-hand corner. The celebration said it all. The Germans quickly countered and Kearney was again called into action, this time to sort out his own defensive mistake. Stahl, the German number 9, again frustrated. UCAF's second goal was another brilliant effort. The German defence got into an awful mess. Captain Alex Heiss and keeper Sven Steingraber leaving it to each other. Daniel Stoneman was first the ball and from fully 40 yards out made them pay. After half-time, Kearney was again called into action, making 2 stunning saves. This the second of them when Stahl looked certain to score, denied a hat-trick by UCAF's number 1. The visitors almost added a third late on. This thunderbolt from Kyle Castle deserved a goal, but the post saved the hosts. Despite a few anxious moments, UCAF held on for a thoroughly deserved win.
We set up well to do that, so the game plan went perfectly really, because we knew they were going to have massive spells of possession. But it was about what we did when we had possession, and we hurt them when we had possession. We created many chances, but our keeper ultimately kept us in the game as well.
It's just one of them. I won't have probably a game like that ever again, so body's on the line. I thought everyone was fantastic, especially the 2 centre-halves, killed play, and I thought we played really well.
The side have their sights set on playing military football further afield, and with the Kentish Cup in September they have the chance to win a record 4th successive title. But for these players, there are unlikely to be sweeter moments than beating the Germans in their own backyard.
Staying with football, and a British Forces team beat the rest of the world side at the Brunsum NATO base in the Netherlands. The international team opened the scoring with a goal by Dinius Vilkatatis. A terrific long-range free kick by Sergeant Mark Bradley made it 1-1 at half-time. Another fine strike from Vilkatatis put the rest of the world in front for a second time. And it was 3-1 thanks to Patrizio Cambiotti from the multinational NATO base. The British comeback was started by Sergeant Sam Courtnidge. And they forced extra time with an equaliser as Bradley got his second. Dan Leach scored the goal which clinched the victory for the British team. And Elliot Washer was on target to wrap up a 5-3 win in the second period of extra time. The Brits retained the bragging rights after their 1-0 win in this fixture last year. The Army Medical Services are looking to capitalise on the growing popularity of women's rugby by running an initiative to get more women and girls to try the sport. Dubbed Zero to Hero, a training camp has been taking place at the home of Army Rugby in Aldershot. Following a successful first outing last year, the Army Medical Services Zero to Hero rugby programme is now in its second season. The grassroots level initiative has the aim of unearthing players who may wish to play for their unit or even go on and represent the Army women's senior side. Participation levels would suggest that the project is working.
The first year we did it, we had 36 players, and this is the second year and we've now got 44. Our retention levels are really, really good. The first year we only lost 6 players going into the 17-18 season, so hopefully we'll keep that retention going into now the 18-19 season.
I'm sure it's the sort of initiative that somebody like the RFU will be delighted in, attracting fresh players into the game, and that must be your long-term aim, that these girls go on and play the sport at whatever level they feel comfortable with.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, it's not just about Army Rugby or Army Medical Services Rugby. We encourage them to go on to play for their local communities and their local rugby clubs. And obviously we want to feed the Army Rugby Union as well. That's our ultimate goal, and I think we do quite well at that in the Army Medical Services. But yeah, absolutely. You know, go on, hopefully. Hey, the ultimate aim is England caps, isn't it?
Helping the AMS is Lou Dennis, the new Army Rugby Development Officer. Her role is to help nurture players and coaches within the service. Already impressed with the standard of play from this crop of oval ball novices, she's looking forward to working with other units and core sides in the future.
Definitely, I think it's a great organisation to come into. The Army-Navy game at Twickenham is obviously the pinnacle of the rugby, but there's so much that goes on underneath that. And one of my biggest impacts, hopefully, is going to be that underlay of that as well. So how can we look to improve rugby across the whole of the Army and get girls in particular involved as well?
Once converted, it's hoped participants will look to continue their interest in the game and even come away from the training camp with skills that will benefit them in the day job.
It's more working as a team. You have to work as a team, otherwise you're not going to get anywhere. It's all about communication. It's not, you can't just have one person that's amazing on the pitch. You need everybody else beside you.
At the moment, AMS are the only corps running this initiative, but following its popularity, other cap badges will be encouraged to follow suit. To mark the RAF centenary, a race of 100 miles has been staged to raise money for the Services Benevolent Fund. 2 teams set off from Plymouth to Weymouth, one by land and one by sea. The cyclists won the race after low winds hampered the sailors, but this event was not just about the result.
Running a campaign for the Olympics, and I first got in contact with the Benevolent Fund as they started sponsoring me, and we thought it was about time we gave something back. We have great relations with the military, and my dad's been serving in the RAF, so we thought, you know, what a great opportunity to try and, you know, raise awareness about the Benevolent Fund.
Well, this year's the 100th year anniversary of the Royal Air Force, so we decided that we ought to do something fairly spectacular to try and raise funds for the RAF Benevolent Fund. I had this idea for this event of the boats versus bikes about 20 years ago, but for various reasons it just never happened. But with Cameron being sponsored or as an ambassador now for the RAF Benevolent Fund, we figured now was the time, and so there's been a lot of effort gone into organising the event.
Combat Stress, the charity helping veterans overcome problems with mental illness, has staged a fundraising race with a difference. With support from hundreds of politicians, they resurrected the Lords versus Commons Pigeon race. The event was last held 90 years ago. Danny Crawshaw reports from Bletchley Park.
3, 2, 1, go!
More than 500 pigeons taking part. The last race of its kind was in 1928.
It's not just Lords v Commons race itself. We had invited all the Lords and the Commons members to sponsor a pigeon with the money going to combat stress. We've had significant support from the Prime Minister down. The Prime Minister sponsored 5 pigeons. We've had the Lord's Speaker, Speaker of the House of Commons, and right across both houses, and in fairness, right across the parties, people are happy to give money for combat stress for this great race.
During both World Wars, hundreds of thousands of carrier pigeons were used, most to transport messages, playing a key role.
These birds are tremendous, they're fantastic athletes, and I mean that may sound strange to some people calling them an athlete, but they truly are. There's no other animal or bird on the planet that can match their speed and endurance. I mean, they can fly speeds up to 70 miles an hour. You can liberate them in the south of France in the morning and they'll be home by tea time. They can fly 14 hours, 45, 50 mile an hour average non-stop all day long.
Can you pick out the one you think is going to win?
Well, I wouldn't want to jeopardise anybody's chances by putting a jinx on them, I suppose.
The hope is this race will become an annual event. The money raised from today will go towards charity, combat stress.
I think that veterans' mental health are very much at the heart of our thinking. I think there's a growing number of people coming forward, so it's great that members of Parliament are thinking about ours as a charity they would like to support.
And that is it for this week. Don't forget you can see all the action as we get it on forces.net and this show and more on YouTube. We'll leave you with a successful day for the Royal Air Force at Lords.